Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Crazy story. So, as you know, we were away this weekend, and for the past week, my son was complaining my tongue hurts. I can't even eat. I'm like, come on, what did that even mean? So I opened his mouth. I'm like, playing with his tongue, and then he's like, no, here, where, here, and he kept going on and on about his tongue hurting. So I was like, it's gonna be fine. And then Tehila, my daughter, said my tongue hurts. So I said, where? And she showed me like a little spot. And then I'm like, show me, let's see. And I opened the mouth and I'm like tapping on it, and she's laughing, like trying to move off the topic of the tongue hurting her. And then basically I'm here today and my tongue hurts me. So as I speak, I'm wearing Invisalign. I don't know if you can tell. I'm sure you have by now. So as I speak, every time my tongue is touching and it's like, oh. Anyway, but hopefully I manage and I speak well and you guys can enjoy, but at some point if I'm in pain. But my message is, the Jewish message is that, no, trust someone else when they tell you that something's hurting them or whatever it is. Because I was thinking, okay, and they were going on and on about it, and then now I was like, okay, yeah, you're touching their tongue? Who's going to touch yours? And then now I've got it on mine, and it's funny. It's funny. It's irony of how, what you put on others comes back to you. I didn't put it on them, but whatever. Okay, I'm going to stop. So, Amen. Thank you. It should be my only pain. Amen. It should be, no one should have pain. Amen. Okay, so we are on the topic of the great harmony of Torah and science again. And it's pretty cool. We were talking about the first few days, and we were saying how Torah and science should never argue. Maybe theory of science can argue, because that's just a theory and it's not fact yet. But there is this idea of Torah, which is us seeing the world from the lens of gratitude. And science is the way that we see the world from like a telescope or a microscope. You're looking into it. And you see how great this world is. And then what are you going to do about it? Just say, oh, it happened? Or are we going to say, Ki Elokim hu zeh, this is from God. And we are so grateful for it. Right? I spoke about the first bit that made you was, I spoke to a biologist about this before. His name's Jeffrey Simmons, who I used to meet with weekly. A very old man. And he wrote a few different books. One of them is called What Darwin Didn't Know, because he was in the beginning of the 19th century, Darwin. And he didn't know about DNA, didn't know about a lot of things. And he also wrote a book called A Billion Missing Links, although we're a little bit similar to monkeys, but that one bit's difference that we have is huge, just we don't know about it, how big and vast. It's like, 99% similar to a monkey, but that 1% is like, so he speaks about the billion missing links. And he says some good things about what Darwin said, but there's a lot of questions and holes in his theory of evolution. But putting that aside for now, what was I saying? So that is what he said. And Jeffrey Simmons, I sat with him, and he said, did you know that the first moment that you were conceived, all of us, every person here, the first moment that was you is 10 times we don't know exactly, but for sure, between 10 times to 100 times smaller than the dot of a pen on a paper. And in that little dot was all of you. That means all of your DNA, a computer that's greater than any computer we have today, with all of the information about you, how many hairs you're going to have or not have, when your hairs are going to start aging, when you're going to start getting old. All of the code of you is in that speck, which is 100 times smaller, 10 to 100 times smaller than a speck of a dot of a pen that you put on a paper. That's pretty wild. And when he puts it that way, I was like, wow. So just like that, that was me. That was me. And this big me that I think I am so great, it says in Pirkei Avot that a person should always remember Ma'ayin Bata, where you came from. If you do, you'll never sin. You'll never do wrong things. Why? Where did you come from? Tipa Sucha, a putrid drip. Excuse me for being so graphic, but that's what it says. You came from what? And where are we going? Back to earth. So when someone thinks about where you came from, where you're going, and who you're going to stand in front of, meaning that everything we do is accountable for, then we take life a little more seriously. And when we realize that what were we, just a little, and we are, and sometimes we're in world me, but we don't realize that the world me is huge when it's actually there for other people also. When it's there spreading light for others. That's when it really comes something special. Okay, so that's called the harmony of Torah and science. Recognizing what you are and looking at it from a scientific lens, and you're like, it says in Tehillim, Mi besari echezeh Eloha. From my flesh, I should look at it and I could say, wow, I see God. Now, I'm not talking about the guy that looks in the mirror in the gym and he goes like this and he says, I see God. You're just looking at the outside. I'm talking about looking at the inside, the way your brain works, the way your heart works, the way your organs work, the way that you eat food and it gets digested in your body miraculously without having you to pay a penny for it to be done. Things that people would pay billions for if they were sick, God forbid. But we have it all free, just like that. Health is something that is real wealth, and sometimes we take it for granted. But if we really look at the way we work, I could see from me, I could see godliness, I could see miracles, just from... And by the way, that's how scientifically we look at the world. We look at it with a telescope or with a microscope. We look beyond, on the global scale, but we also look deep into the specific, into the individual scale. And in spirituality, it's also like that, right? If we look at the greatness of the world, you've got one thing, but also of the greatness of the me, it's another whole thing. Like, I'm a world. I'm also something very, very special. So this is one very important idea which correlates with the idea of science, which is that there's always greatness within and greatness from without, and we have to plug into both. There's always the energy that I create within myself and the energy I create outside of myself, and those are both very individual level and on a global level. So Torah and science very much go together, and we're going to speak about this a lot. Today I want to actually speak about the stars, which was created. Does anyone know? What day? Day 4, very good. Day 3 was the dry land. The first day was everything was created in the first spec. We said time, space, matter. Day 1. Day 2 was the firmaments, which is in Jewish terms, in scientific terms today, the atmospheres that we have, like we have around Earth, the atmosphere, different than space. The atmosphere around Earth is different. And then we have, the third day, we have the dry land and the continents that split from the dry land. And I'm talking scientifically and spiritually. And then on the fourth day, we have all the stars. Now, what really sticks out when you look at the story of the stars is that the Talmud says, or the Torah says, that originally God made the stars, the two big, he made all these stars, whatever. And then it says, Vayas Elohim et shnei hameorot hagadolim. God made the two big luminaries, the two big ones. And the big one for the day, and the small one for the night, which is kind of weird. Can you see? So the language is, God said, God made the two great lights right in the middle. The greater light for the day, and the smaller one for the night. So it's kind of contradictory. At the beginning it says, the two great lights. And then at the end, it says the big one and the small one. What's going on over here? Okay? And actually, you can explain it like this. Why does it first say the two big ones? Because from our perspective, they look the same size. Did you know that the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, but it's also 400 times distance from the moon, right? So the distance between us, from Earth, the distance from us to the moon, 400 times that distance, you'll get to the sun. So that means that to us, the sun and the moon, which is 400 times smaller, looks exactly the same. That's why when you look at if you can't really look at the sun, but if you were able to, it looks like the size of the moon, even though the sun is far, far bigger, but it's 400 times further away, 93 million miles away from Earth. And because it's so far away, you look at the sun, you look at the moon, they look the same size. So that's why they're both called the two big luminaries, because they're both the same size for us. But then the big one for the day and the small one for the night. That's the basic understanding. But according to Kabbalah, and the Talmud also explains something very, very interesting. It says like this in the Talmud. It says in the Talmud in Chulin, if anyone wants to check this, 60b, page 60b, section 2 of the page. It says like this. Are you guys ready? This is really interesting. So God made the two great lights, then the big one and the small one. What's going on over here? How come, are they not too big, or there's one big and one small? So why is the Torah not consistent? So this is Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. Cool name. He says this question, and then he says like this. The moon, everything, according to spirituality, everything has an angel to it. And the moon went to God and said, hey, originally they were both the same size. So the moon goes to God and says, hey, why should we have two things of the same size? A moon and a sun, both the same size. One should be big and one should be, bigger. But why two doing the same thing? So God says, you're right. Go and make yourself smaller. And the language is like this. The moon says before God, God, is it possible to have two kings serving the same thing with the same crown? Basically the same job. So he says, okay, great, good point. Go and make yourself smaller to the moon. So the moon says, no. Wait, I'm saying something good. Now you make me come smaller? I'm making a good claim. Why do we need two things doing the same job? And you're making me smaller? Now, how can the moon argue with God? Okay, let's just consider, just go out of the box of whether you believe the story or not. Just think of a second. How can the moon argue with God? How dare you? He was basically saying, this is what one of the commentaries says, he was saying, why make me smaller? Make me bigger. Don't make me smaller. Or he was saying, some say, he was asking, why make me smaller? Make me the same size, just 1 month the sun, and another month the moon should be shining. But why both of us have the same job all the time? So God says to it, no, it's okay. You stay small, and we'll use you, to the moon, we'll use you in the day and the night. Both. There's a great message in you being smaller, but being still used in the night as well as of the day. So the moon says, well, I don't like that. This is what the Talmud says to me. You've got to hold on, because there's a great message here. He says, I don't like that. What's the point of lighting a match in the broad daylight? Is there any use? Basically, I'm the moon. I'm so small in light compared to the sun. What is the point? It's like lighting a match in broad daylight. Does it give any light? This is what the moon said. So then God says, okay, do you know what? The moon is going to influence the days, because the Jewish people, we count the months based on, month by definition is based on the moon, the lunar cycle. The solar calendar doesn't really have months, it has seasons. But months and days are counted by the month, by the moon. So the Jewish people are going to use you and count and bless you. So he's like, what does that even mean? Right? So the moon wasn't getting it. So then God says, being smaller is sometimes greater. Some of the greatest people in Jewish history were called the Katan. David HaKatan. David, the King David, he was the youngest of his family, and he was considered the smallest of his family. Maybe not in size, it's irrelevant. But the smaller one is sometimes the greatest one. It's like the underdog. So he says, there's also Jacob was called Jacob the small one. Shmuel was called Shmuel the small one. All these great people in Jewish history were called the small one. Don't think that because you're smaller, you're worse off. Sometimes when you're smaller, you have more advantage. Okay, the moon was still not happy. So God says, okay, you know what? You're going to have a special spiritual connection every month. One of the things that it means here. Every month, the Jewish people are going to bless the moon. Do you know that we bless the moon every month? We do Kiddush Levana, Birkat Levana, where we bless the month every month, and we go outside. We don't face the moon because that's idol worship, but we make a beautiful bracha. That just like no one can touch the moon because it's, you can get there, but you can't really affect the moon so much. So too, the Jewish people, which are compared to the moon, we're meant to be a reflection of God in this world. No one can really hurt us. They can try, but we're still going to be around just as much as the moon's going to be around. Okay, that was the story. What's the message of the story? Oh, there's a lot of messages. One is, if you're jealous of somebody and you try and minimize the other person, what ends up happening is you hurt yourself. Jealousy hurts the person himself more than anybody else. This is just the way the world works. We try and bring someone else down. At the end of the day, who am I bringing down? Myself. The moon in the story was trying to bring down the sun, saying, hey, look, we both got the same job. What's the point? You know when two people have, an organization that's very similar. So it's hard. You've got competition. Competition's not easy. It's like, hey, don't come in my territory. What do you do? But if a person realizes that we're all in this world on a mission, and there's for sure a reason for both of us. And if I'm doing something good, then my light will shine in its own way and someone will enjoy it. The people that need to enjoy my light will enjoy it. But don't think that I should bring down that person in order to bring myself up. What ends up happening is, and I go down. And this is the great lesson of the story of the moon and the sun and whatever. But at the end of the day, since the moon had a good intention, the moon gets the blessings. Okay, this is the story. What am I telling you? Very nice story, right? You liked it? It's good. Listen, this is crazy. In science, and this is only the past few decades, this is a rock from the moon. It was called a moon rock. You guys know what that is? Okay. In the past few decades, this is what they've discovered. Only the past 30, 40 years, that astronomers have realized, because of spectroscopy, the type of reflection that they use with light, and mapping, because they went to the moon, and different things that they did, they believe that the moon's interior is molten rock. It was once a big flame. It was a big fire. And they also believe today that the moon has been shrinking. It was much bigger than it was originally. So it's interesting how science actually believes that the moon was once much bigger than it is right now. And this is mind-blowing to me, right? On Apollo mission, they brought back moon rocks, confirming that the lunar crust is formed from cooling magma. I mean, the whole thing was fire originally. And over the years, things have changed. But this is what they believe. They don't know exactly, but we believe that the moon was actually a much bigger planet than it is today. And this is something that the Torah is teaching us. Outside of all of that, also with us, whenever we have a scientific thing that we're taught, there's always a lesson. There's a lesson that's meant to come out of it. It's never just a scientific discovery or an idea that we discovered in science. There's always something that we have to come out of it. Anyway, so that's the story of the moon and the sun. Sounds good? You ready for another one? Okay, there's this thing called the cycle of the moon, okay? When are the holidays? Do you know which part of the month, the holidays are? This is the middle of the month when the moon is on its full size. This is right bang in the middle, the 15th of the month. Yeah. Yes, and then it gets smaller, right? And then that's towards the end of the month. It closes off, and then you only see, right? And then when it starts all over again, which is that, then it's the new month. And there was a specific time. According to NASA, the new month starts exactly on 29 days and a half and 0.530589, which is 29 days, 12 hours, and probably just under an hour. Okay? So it's 29.5, whatever. So that's, the moon went down. Okay, great. So that's what NASA says, 29.530589. I wonder how they know that, but this is all very recent discoveries, only because we've been on the moon and we're able to really measure precisely to the second of when the new moon starts. In Judaism, I was saying also, when just important to know, that when we're in the middle of the month, that's when our holidays are always. Jewish holidays are always in the middle of the month. Passover, Sukkot, always in the middle of the month when the moon is on its fullest. Which is what it tells me that although this world sometimes feels dark, but the holidays are always shining in the time where God's presence is most felt in the Jewish people. That's always Sukkot. All the holidays that we have is celebrated in the middle. So let's just go to this idea of what we said about how many days does it take exactly for the new month to come. So according to NASA, 29.530589. So look at this. Now, in the times of the Talmud, do you know how we would know if there was a new month? There would have to be witnesses. It's a whole discussion of why we waited on witnesses and we didn't just calculate the minutes. We wanted humans to influence the moon. We as humans can influence the world. So according to Judaism, we wouldn't rely on our calendar system. We would rely on human vision, and we would wait in the Beit Din to announce a new month. The way that they would do it is they would have two witnesses come and say, I saw the new month coming today. And we'd say, it's today? Okay, today is the new month. This is the first of Tishrei, or the first of whatever month it is, Nisan or whatever. Okay? So we would rely on witnesses to come and say when they saw the new month. And one time, this is a story in the Talmud, they came, they said, it was a bit cloudy that day, like today in LA. The sky was covered with clouds and it got dark a little early, and they saw the moon on the 29th month, right at the beginning of the month. But that doesn't make sense. Right at the beginning, 29 days. After 29 days, they said, I think we see the moon. And that doesn't make sense because it was too early. And the people thought to say, there's a new moon, and we have to go to the court and tell them that there's a new moon. We saw the new moon. So Rabbi Gamliel, a great rabbi, said to them, this is a tradition that I received from my father's house and my father's father, from Shammai and Hillel, from the great rabbis till Moses. We have a tradition that the monthly cycle of the new moon takes no less than 29 and a half days plus 2/3 of an hour. For us in Judaism, an hour is not 60 minutes. It's split into 1,080 parts. Did you know this? We have 24 hours, but each hour is split into 1,080 parts. It's much less than the minute that we have. Every minute for us is different. It's calculated differently. It's 1,080 minutes in an hour. That's how we calculate. So for us, a minute will be less. Okay? And he says it's got to be 29 and a half days, which is 29 days and 12 hours, plus 2/3 of an hour, plus 73 parts of the 1,080 of an hour, to the exact number. So if you make a calculation of what he was saying, it's like this. Okay, this is a lot of math right now, and I don't want to, you guys might get tired, but look at this. He said 29 and a half days and 2/3 of an hour and 73 subsections. 2/3 of 1,080 is 720, plus 73 is 793. If you make the calculation, 793 of an hour, which is 1080, comes 0.7345. This is clear-cut math. This is no questions asked. Okay, and if you work that out in 24 hours, it's 0.03059, and he said 29 and a half is 29 hours, 29 days, 12 hours. It comes out, according to Judaism, that a new month starts on 29.5305941358. Pretty crazy, right? We always knew that a new month starts after 29.53, exactly to the second of when a new month starts. So this is the difference between what Torah says and what NASA says. NASA's a little off, but whatever. 29.530589. And what does Torah say? 29.5305944135. It's pretty amazing. This is something that we always had in the Talmud, exactly when the new month comes. We couldn't have known this until we went to the moon. There was no way of knowing exactly when we were in the moon. We were able to send reflection using some kind of scientific whatever, and we were reflecting light, and we were able to know exactly when the new month started. But before that, there was nothing that we knew. And yet we always said this idea. Here, I just found this on Wikipedia. You can't rely on them anymore, but whatever. Racist idiots. Anyway, it's not them. It's all the idiots that go on there and write the information. But whatever. I did a long time ago. Okay. So, do you want more?
Yes.
Okay. This is the idea. No more math. Don't worry. No more math. This is fine. So, this is the idea that in Judaism, we believe that the sun has an outer layer that holds the heat of the sun inside of it. And if that layer would somehow break, then the world, everything would just be scorched. We wouldn't be able to exist anymore. So the heat of the sun, according to Judaism, has to be much, much hotter inside than it is on the outside. Okay? And this is the statement in the Midrash, Galgal Chama. If you read in Hebrew, I like you read in the Hebrew, the language is much more Galgal Chama, right? The sun, Yesh lo nartik, it has a pocket on the outside, as it says in the verse, La shemesh sam ohel bahem. The sun has like a tent around it. It has a covering around it. And because of that, the sun doesn't damage the world and doesn't scorch us too much. Okay? This is the translation based on ChatGPT. I asked it to translate for me. The sphere of the sun has a sheath. Don't trust me now, huh? It's fine. It makes sense. The sphere of the sun has a sheath, a covering. As it says in Psalms, he made a tent for the sun among them. So in Jewish teaching, we always said that the sun has an outer layer that holds the heat from coming out too much. And the heat within the sun is much, much hotter than on the external part. And this is really, really mind-blowing, okay? So the core of the sun, this is a NASA article. I've split the page in two, so you'll see in a second. The core of the sun is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty hot, huh? Now, the outer layer of the sun, it lowers itself, right? It's 3.5 million degrees. Convection zone is 3.5 million. And then on the outer layer, which is the photosphere, it reaches 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a lot less than 27 million degrees Fahrenheit on the outer layer. What's really crazy is this. As soon as you hit the corona of the sun, which is the atmosphere, the air of the sun, right? Not the actual sun itself. You're not touching the floor of the sun, but the air around it. As soon as you reach the corona of the sun, it's 2 to 3 million degrees Fahrenheit. And this is a phenomenon that we can't fully describe and understand. Why on earth is the flooring of the sun so much cooler than the atmosphere of the sun? This is the puzzle of the coronal heating. And this is what it says. As you walk away from a fire, what normally happens when you walk away from a fire? Right? You expect that the temperature should go down. But the sun is different. The corona, the outermost layer of the sun, is hotter than the layers immediately below it. Exactly how the corona gets so hot is one of the major unsolved puzzles of heliophysics. This is something that we cannot understand. How it is that the atmosphere around the sun is so much hotter, 2 to 3 million degrees Fahrenheit, which eventually reaches us. By the way, a fun fact about the sun, that if you were next to the sun, which we wouldn't be able to be, but if we were to be there, you will not feel the heat. This is interesting. Just because of the way that space works, it will be extremely hot, but you won't be able to feel the heat. In space, the temperature can be thousands of degrees, but you won't actually feel the heat. How can you explain that? Temperature measures how fast particles are moving, but whereas heat measures the total amount of energy that they transfer. Since space is mostly empty, there are very few particles to transfer the energy to your hand. So that means you won't actually feel it, but you will get burnt. How do you explain that? I don't know. But anyway, that's another interesting fact. But the point is that we always said in Judaism that the outer layer of the sun is cooler than the inner parts of the sun. Right? That's, to me, is pretty wild. The sun's core reaches 27 million degrees Fahrenheit, and that's where huge energy is created. That energy moves slowly outward through thick layers and then rises and sinks back in the convection zone before it reaches the surface at 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Each layer traps and transfers heat gradually, and the sun's gravity keeps its hot gases tightly contained. But that's something we always said. Interesting, no? Okay, the number of stars. How many stars are there? Just to give you an idea, this is crazy. Do you want to know something? Wow, like, there are more stars than there are grains of sand on Earth. So, you walk outside now, you might see some sand on the floor, but take a whole bunch. And if you somehow got rid of that, right, that wouldn't even, it doesn't even come close to the numbers. The sun, the sky, the atmosphere, the galaxies, everything that we have are so many more stars than what we have on Earth, just in grains of sand, just to understand the numbers of stars we have in this world. Okay, so the Jewish people, this is a Talmud in Brachot, where the Jewish people started complaining, and they said, God has left us, like the other religions have used this as a trope to hate on the Jews, saying, God has forsaken you. You should believe in the Lord. Right? They say, God has left you. Believe in our religion now. And this is what they used to do to us for many, many years. A lot of hate. So the Jewish people actually said, Vatom et Zion azavani Hashem. Zion, the land of Zion, said, meaning the Jewish people said after the temple was destroyed, God has left us. Shechachani, God's forgotten us. Okay? And then the great Rabbi Reish Lakish says, no, don't think that. Because God's presence has said, right? God himself says to us, and this is what we said to God. Normally, when a man marries a woman and he gets divorced, he sometimes thinks of his first wife. It's like just that's how nature is. But God, we left Israel and he doesn't even think of us anymore. That's the kind of language we used. So God says, no. I created this entire universe. And in this universe, I'm going to translate word for word. This is mind-blowing, okay? There are 12 different sections. Mazalot, these are the zodiac signs that we have. There's 12 different sections of the stars. When you look outside the world, there's 12 sections of constellations. And he goes through all the different groups. In each constellation, there's 30 different sections. And in each one of those armies of 30, there's another 30 legends. And in every legend, there's another 30 rahatons. And in every rahaton, there's another 30 keratons. And in all these different groups, and if you multiply all of them exactly to the number of what it says, and there's 365,000 of 10,000 according to the number of days we have in the sun. Okay, this is the Talmud, clearly. Okay, this is what a Talmud looks like, by the way. This is written over 2,000 years ago. And here God's talking to the Jewish people, and he says exactly how many stars he created, to the detail, and how they are split. We have always been into astronomy as the Jewish people. You have what we call mazal. What does mazal mean? Right, so we translate that as luck. Do you know what it really means? Okay, maybe. What does zal mean? What does mazal? Mazal, tal means Jew. Mazal means flow, energy flowing towards you. Okay, so mazal actually in Hebrew stands for 3 words. Makom. Yafeh. What does makom mean? Place where you're born affects your energy. Zman, time, the time that you're born in the month or the year or the right, not just the place but also the timing is also what defines some of what you are, and also the lashon, the language that was used to give you a name. The name that you have also has an influence on it. These are three things that influence you. So mazal is based on the stars, the influence of the stars based on the timing that you're born. That's called a mazal. And it's really, really interesting to know that we have always been into all the stars, the constellations, and figuring out exactly times and influences and energies of the world. Okay, but listen to this. Till Galileo, you know this guy? He came up with the first major telescope, and he realized in the 17th century that there's more than just what the eye sees in the sky. There's not just 6,000 stars or 10,000 stars. There's many, many more. So he was the first guy to come out with some nice telescope and discover that there's a lot more stars than we thought outside of Earth. Okay, but it wasn't until this guy, Edwin Hubble, that really came up with the Hubble's telescope, and we use him on a spaceship today, right? Is that correct? On the furthest, one of the furthest out. Huh?
The Hubble telescope.
The Hubble telescope is actually on somewhat used on a spaceship. I don't know.
It's up there.
It's up there. It's in right. So it's on a satellite, and they are using that to see pictures of the sun and whatever. So Hubble's maybe not his telescope. They've advanced it, but he was the first guy to really realize that there are millions, not just millions, billions of stars in the skies. Okay? And this is something that we have always said. Okay? Let me just read you the language of that Talmud that I read in Brachot 32a. This Talmud that we just read. I'm going to say this quickly. Hashem said to the people of Israel, I created 12 different parts of the skies, which are groupings of stars, Libra, Scorpio, whatever. And for each constellation I created 30 hosts, and for each host I created 30 legions, and for each legion I created 30 divisions, and for each division, so you're multiplying all of these, I created 30 battalions, and for each battalion I created 30 camps, and for each camp I have attached, badly misspelled, 365,000, tens of thousands of stars, corresponding to the days of the year, and all of them I've created for you. God's comforting us and saying, look how much I create, and I still care about you. Okay? So these are the numbers based on what the Talmud says. Each camp has 1,000 and 10,000, whatever. If you make a calculation of all the numbers, I went offline. 1 second. I was wondering, I'm reading and I was watching. 1 second. I was wondering why everyone's getting bored. 1 second. Can you see? Okay. 1 second. Oh, yeah. Not that guy. Okay. Look at this. So, this is the number. Oh, it's gone weird, but whatever. Okay. Maybe I did it as a presentation. 1 second. Yeah. It went small. I don't know. Okay. I'm a perfectionist. Hello. It's Windows. Okay, great. Look what it says. Okay? So these are the numbers based on what the Talmud says. Look at the number of stars we have. According to Judaism, Talmud written thousands of years ago. This is the number of stars we have. 1,064,340,000,000,000,000,000,000,000. Right? Do you know what that is? 10 to the power of 24. Oh, no, 10 to the power of 18, actually. NASA says that there are 10 to the power of 21 stars. What does Judaism say? 10 to the power of 18. Look how close we are. Who's a little off? Exactly. Okay. What does it say in Judaism? What's the point of all of this? Monem mispal hakochavim. God has a number for all the stars. Do you know that you can have a star named after you? There's a website where you can put your name in, pay a little money, and have a star named after you. Don't think you're special because there's so many. You can actually have. It's a genius concept. Someone's making money off just people going on. Anyway, but there is a way that you can have a star named after you. Did you know this? Now you do. Okay, but God already has given a number for every star. God knows every star that exists, according to Jewish teaching. And it shows how great the creator of the universe is. And sometimes it leaves us asking, what is the point of all of this? By the way, this is just the numbers. I wrote before the 1900, we thought there's about 100,000 stars. 1950s, 100 billion. And today, we say, so only in the 1950s, we still thought 100 billion, whilst we were saying 10 to the power of 18. They were like, what? And then, only today, with NASA, we've come to the conclusion is between 10 to the power of 22 to 10 to the power of 24. They're not sure exactly, but Judaism has always said 10 to the power of 18. So it might leave us with a big question. Why did God create all of this? And by the way, like I said, global level and individual level, every one of us is also one in millions, right? The minute you were conceived, you made it. But there were millions that were trying to get there, and you won, right? Everyone here is a champion. So when you were created, you're also one in hundreds of millions. Why did God make the world like that, right? If there's a reason for the whole universe, why is the world like that? We're all one in hundreds of millions that made it. And the stars are all, we're Earth, small little Earth, but it has real life on it. And of all the stars that there are, almost infinite numbers of stars, it's like, why do that? Just make Earth. What's all this creation for? What's the secret? So there's a song that's written by David, and that teaches us what the reason of all this greatness is. Because it says that when we look at the world, and we see how amazing this world is, when I look at the heavens, I see the stars. I see the work of God's fingers, the moon, the stars, everything that happens. I say to myself, Ma enosh ki tizkerenu. How fortunate are we that God still cares about me? Even with everything that He creates, He still remembers me. That's pretty wild. I'm important. Uben Adam ki tifkedenu. And God wants my good actions, my choice, my free will, my things that I do is interesting to God. He makes us a little like God. He makes us a little different. We have the power in our history, the Jewish rabbis and the prophets and all of our history, some amazing things that we human beings can do. It reminds us how important we are, even though the world is so vast. Yet still we're necessary and important. Okay. Right? So, just an interesting fact. You see the word mikre. Do you know what that means? Who knows what that means? In Hebrew, what does it mean? What does mikre mean? Mikre. Chance. Coincidence. Okay? In Hebrew, that word there, mikre, means a coincidence. What does Judaism say? Is there such a thing as a coincidence? Or everything's planned? No. In Judaism, the letters mikre are the same letters of rak me Hashem, only from God. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Okay? And also, this world is not a coincidence. Why are we here in this world? Not a coincidence. Everything that we see in this world is perfectly fine-tuned. And the odds of life on earth is a miracle. And it has to be, by the way, for the past century, we've been trying to see if there's extraterrestrial life outside of Earth, and we still can't find it. Sending signs and sounds and radio waves, still can't find it. Interesting. Because the odds are that if we have so many stars, 10 to the power of 24, there's got to be another area in this entire galaxy that there should be a space exactly like Earth. The odds are there should be another 10 Earths with life on it. And it scientifically should make sense that there are many Earths. But if you think about it, we are a living miracle. Perfect. And that's why one of God's name is Shaddai. Ani El Shaddai. Oh, it didn't work out on the screen. But God's name is Shaddai, that God stops the world. He fine-tunes the world. Dai in Hebrew is Dayenu, stop. God stops the world. He creates and then stops everything. The perfect amount of expansion of the universe. If it was expanding too much, we wouldn't exist. Everything, the odds of life on Earth, 93 million miles away from the sun. If we were too close to the sun, we will burn. If we were too far away, we wouldn't live. Did you know that Jupiter has a tremendous gravity, 2.5 times the amount of gravity as Earth. Just a fun fact about Jupiter. We have, right, the planets. Here, Jupiter, just a fun fact about Jupiter, 2.5 times more gravity. So that means if you were standing on Earth, right, you were standing on Earth. If you're standing on Jupiter, you will be, if let's say you weighed 100 pounds, there you'll weigh 250 pounds. Just like that, you'll put on weight. Psst. Right? So then you'll be like, Not only that, you wouldn't be able to move your legs. Why? Because the gravity pull is so strong. Jupiter is much bigger than Earth. Because it's bigger, the gravity is stronger. So if you would stand on Earth, you wouldn't be able to move. You wouldn't be able to lift your leg. Because the gravity pull is so strong. And why is that happening? Are these planets, do you know what Jupiter does? It catches all the meteorites that come to Earth. Instead of coming here, Jupiter is the big magnet that pulls in all these meteor rocks that should be coming to Earth and blowing us up. They go to Jupiter instead. Did you know this? And they are all absorbed into that. So that's called, Jupiter is considered in science as the vacuum cleaner. It cleans up all the meteorites that are meant to come to Earth. They go straight to Jupiter instead. Jupiter's immense gravity attracts many asteroids and comets that come too close, but with some being pulled in for a collision. Due to its powerful gravity, Jupiter is hit far more often than other planets, including Earth. By capturing and destroying these objects, Jupiter acts as a protective shield for the inner solar system. By the way, the odds of us living has to be that there's Jupiter also to catch all the asteroids. The odds of life on Earth is something out of this. We have 21% oxygen on Earth. If we'd have too much oxygen, what would happen? Right, we'll die. It will explode. Someone lights a cigarette, boom, the whole thing goes up. And what happens if we have too little oxygen? We'll be in hazmat suits again, back to COVID times. Right? So if we're too little oxygen, we won't survive, but we have exactly the amount of oxygen. What happens when we breathe in oxygen? What do we release? Exactly, CO2. CO2 is like the waste. It's not oxygen. Do you know who uses that? Trees. Trees take in the science class. The trees take in the carbon dioxide, and what happens to the trees? They give back off oxygen for us to cut down. How do we always stay at 21%? How is it that we always have 21% oxygen? Do you know that trees communicate to each other? If there's less trees, then some trees are going to give off more oxygen to compensate for the trees that are missing. Trees communicate. The Talmud says that when you take down a tree, everyone's going to feel bad, I'm a tree guy. No, but the Talmud says when you take down a tree, its voice is heard from one side of the world to the other. We just don't hear it, but it screams from one side of the world to the other. Isn't that interesting? In Judaism, you're not allowed to take down fruit trees. It's against Jewish law to take down fruit trees. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night, but it's amazing to think about how Torah and Judaism goes so well together. That a lot of the things that science is discovering, Jews were always, based on the Torah, not us, God, gift from God, we've always been saying and teaching for so many years. Okay, I also wanted to speak about other stuff, but next time we'll speak about dinosaurs in Judaism. This is a bit real thing. And so much more. Okay, thank you for being here. L'chaim. Have a great night. Yeah, if anyone has questions, I'd love to take. Yes?
You mentioned that God created two luminaries.
Yes, the two big ones, one big and one small.
So is that referencing the sun and the moon that are surrounding the Earth? Is there suns and moons surrounding other planets? Is there other planets?
The odds are there should be many moons and many Earths.
Last slide, you said Jupiter with like 4 moons on it.
Right.
Asteroids.
Well, asteroids are absorbed by the Jupiter because it's got such a strong pull of gravity. The bigger the planet, the more gravity pull it has. We wouldn't be able to, on Mars, by the way, you just take a step. Mars is smaller than Earth. So on Mars, if you take a step, you'll be like, psh, if like moon. On the moon, you just take a step, you're like, woo, you'll be able to fly. But anyway, going back to your question, there should be, by theory, there should be hundreds of Earths. If you're looking just from a scientific perspective, there should be many Earths out there. Because we have so many stars, if it's all random, odds are there should be Earth. By the way, in Kabbalah, extraterrestrial life, we believe that there is life outside of Earth, but never in a higher form than humans. Humans is the highest form. So you might have some kind of bacteria or things that are living, but based on Kabbalah and Patach Eliyahu, one of the introductions of the Zohar to Kabbalah, there's no extraterrestrial life outside of Earth. So they're wasting all that money that they're spending, sending signals outside of Earth, waste of money. Yeah?
Does that mean Judaism believes in zodiac signs?
We do, absolutely. What's the month of Elul? Virgo. Do you know what Virgo means? Virgin. That's it. So virgin means renewal. Renewal is the month of Elul when we renew ourselves. We go back and we get ready for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And which month? What's the month of scales, or what's it called? Libra. Libra is the month of Tishrei, the month of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, where God's weighing ourselves. And there's every single month is to do with the Jewish holidays. In fact, in the English calendar, it doesn't work, the zodiac signs, because it's like in the middle of the month. It doesn't go according to the actual month. In Judaism, it goes exactly according to the lunar month, from the beginning to the end of the month, not mid-month. The zodiac signs in the English calendar, it goes, the solar calendar that we have today, goes based on the certain dates within a month, right? It's not exactly at the beginning of we follow the moon, actually, and we very much believe in it. Now, we also believe that we as Jewish people have a power to go beyond. Never say that you have been predetermined a certain way, like you were born on this month, and therefore you are locked into that energy. We believe that as the Jewish people, when we plug ourselves into spirituality, we can go way beyond what's predetermined for us. It's a very important idea. We are above the mazal. It's a very important, never say, oh, this is a big thing. I was just talking to somebody in Israel today, and we were talking about how in Israel, here in America, everyone goes to therapists, and it's good. People go, they have their therapist that they go to, and everyone's very open about their challenges that they're going through. And in Israel, it's like less done. And he was talking about it because he's a psychologist in Israel, and he's saying how much more advanced it is here in this regard. So I said to him that it's interesting that you're saying that. In some ways, it's very good that we're very open about our issues, but in some ways, the way that we work, we label ourselves too much. So, I've got, you go to the doctor, you go to your therapist, and he says, you've got this condition, you've got that condition, you've got that. And when you label, bless you, when you label yourself, it means I cannot work on myself. I'm this is who I am. I've got ADD. I've got ADHD. I've got this problem, that problem. And it's like stuck on the wall, and then, there's no way I can come out of it. There's no way I can grow. There's no way I can change. Labeling sometimes is problematic because it locks you in a space and doesn't let you come out of it. So, in Judaism we say, yes, there is labels. There's a mazal. There's the influence of the stars. But we have the power to go beyond that. Nature versus nurture. That's really the... Yes? Anyone else? Huh? Yes.
What's your zodiac sign?
Mine is Libra.
What does that have to do about
There's two parts to that month, actually. And one is like the immense love. And on the other side of the month is a lot of self-judgment and yeah, I mean, I need to give a class. I need to do research. I'm not good enough on it, but I just know my month. But I know that according to Judaism, the month of Libra has two exact opposites. I can be very extreme personality. I need to look into each month to really give you I also need to know that I know the Hebrew names. I don't know the English names of the zodiac signs. Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
This is like kind of zodiac related, but my birthday falls on Hanukkah a lot. Is that like good? Is that like a bracha?
Absolutely. You have a special energy, just like the month, just like the time of Hanukkah, which is bringing light into the darkest time of the year. Hanukkah always falls out in the time of the year that the sun is least shining on earth. Yet we get together and we light a candle. And the whole essence of Hanukkah is taking a dark space, hiddenness of God and bringing out a tremendous light. Like you have the energy to get to somebody who's in a very troubled state, and you can give him hope and blessing. Like that's the energy of Hanukkah.
I got you.
Yes, special guy over here. Okay, I think we'll call it. Should we call it there? Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.